Hello guys. The topic that I am going to discuss today is Subject Verb Agreement or Subject Verb Concord. I am going to discuss the basic as well as the advanced rules of Subject Verb Agreement. And besides them, I am also going to share a few tricks so that remembering at least some of these rules becomes easier for you. In a sentence, the subject and the verb that follows it hold a very strong relationship. The verb always complies with the subject it follows. If the subject changes, the verb has to change accordingly. You have been learning these rules since you were just a child. However, when it comes to using the advanced rules of subject verb agreement, we often become confused. We often cannot decide whether the subject is to be treated to be a singular subject or a plural subject. Now, before I discuss these advanced rules, I would like to give you a quick overview of the basic rules. Now, in English language, all verbs are by default plural. If you wish to turn them into singular, then you have to add s or es to them. That means all verbs have both singular and plural forms. The plural forms are the base forms of the verbs, and the singular forms are those when you add s or es to them. For example, let us take the verbs play, do, and cry. So the plural forms of these three verbs are play, do, and cry, and the singular forms are plays, does, and cries. Now remember two sentences that I am going to tell you. These two sentences are: singular verb forms are used after a singular subject. Plural verb forms are used after a plural subject. That means if the subject is singular, like the boy, you should write plays because it is the singular form of the verb. And if the subject is the boys, it's a plural subject, so you will write play, the plural form of the verb. But there are exceptions. The first person singular number I and the second person singular number you do not follow these rules. In that case, you have to use plural forms of verbs after them. In case of be verbs and have verbs, they also have singular and plural forms. The singular forms of be verbs are am, is, and was. And in case of have verbs, it is has. The plural forms are, were, and have. Similarly, we use the plural forms after a plural subject and singular forms after a singular subject, with the exception of I and you. After I, we use am in the present tense and have in the present tense, and in the past tense, we use was. In case of you, we use are in the present tense, have in the present tense, and were in the past tense. Keep these rules in your mind. You may note them down, or if you are confident enough, let's just get to the next segment. In this segment, I am going to talk about 10 advanced rules of subject verb agreement. Here, I'm not always going to give you the grammar book definitions. I'm rather going to give you some tricks so that remembering them becomes easier for you. Now, subjects are not always so simple the way we just saw in the previous segment. They are not always like boy, boys, girl, girls, he, she, they, it, etc. Sometimes we add information to the subject and the entire subject phrase becomes complex, and it becomes difficult for us to figure out whether the subject is a singular subject or a plural subject. For example, let's just look at these phrases. One of my friends, the king with all his attendants, either you or I, etc. In these three subject phrases, what do you get to see? There are more words. And in that case, we often get confused which word we should be focusing on. One of my friends. Does it sound plural or singular to you? Oh, there is friends in this part of the sentence, so it should be treated to be plural. Oh, there, in that case, the king with all his attendants. Should we focus on the king or the attendants? Or all of them? Is it a plural subject or a singular subject? Now we become confused. Acha, either you or I. What should we write after it? Are, is, am. Which one? I am going to talk about these rules now, so that these confusions, you just get over them. The first rule: if you see the use of the preposition of in the subject phrase, what will happen? If you see of to be used in the subject phrase, you must remember that the word written before of will be treated to be your subject. That means in the phrase one of my friends, your subject is one and not friends. Though friends is written nearer to the verb, it will not influence the verb. The word that will influence the verb is one, and one is singular. So you will write a singular verb after it. So one of my friends is in the school cricket team. If you replace one with two of my friends, then the subject will become plural, and you will write two of my friends are in the school cricket team. Similarly, the quality of the pages of these books is bad, is poor. Why? Your subject is the quality. Obviously, we'll say that of is used 2 times in this case, but we will take the first of and the word written before that. What is written before that? Quality. So your subject is quality, not the pages, not the books. Right? If I say the results of these experiments dash satisfactory, what should you write? You will write are satisfactory. Why? Your subject is the results written before of, and that is plural. So you will treat it to be a plural subject. Did you get it? Okay, let us move to the next one. Sometimes and is used to join two singular subjects into a plural subject. And is used to join two singular subjects into a plural subject, like he and I. He singular subject, I singular subject, and you join them using and. So they became plural. He and I are good friends. That is simple. But if we see an article or more articles being used besides using and, then what will happen? If you see these kinds of phrases, a famous politician and popular social worker dash passed away. Another one, a famous politician and a popular social worker dash passed away. Which one is singular and which one is plural? Or both of them are plural? Actually, the first one is singular. You see, if and is used to join two singular subjects and only one article is used, the subject phrase will be treated to be a singular subject. So, a famous politician and popular social worker. In this case, famous politician and popular social worker refer to a single person because I have used the article a only once. But in the second case, a famous politician and a popular social worker. So the article a has been used twice on both sides of and. So in that case, it will be treated to be a plural subject because they refer to two different people. So a famous politician and a popular social worker have passed away, right? So in the same manner, if I say the manager and the cashier dash absconded, you will write have because two articles are there. So two different persons. But if I say the manager and cashier dash absconded, so you will write has absconded because I have used the article the only once. So the manager and cashier refer to a single person. Let us move to the next one. If you see the use of with as well as along with in the subject phrase, then you must be sure that the word written before them will be your subject. That means the word written before with or as well as or along with will be your subject. The king with all his attendants. What is the subject here? The king, because it is written before with. The king with all his attendants has arrived at the court. This rule has similarity with the first rule I talked about. So the word written before of, before with, before along with, before as well as will be treated to be your subject, right? Acha, next one, another example. An old man with 3 daughters. An old man with his 3 daughters is waiting outside, because your subject is an old man and not the 3 daughters. With 3 daughters, this part is useless here. It is just adding information to the subject. Your subject is an old man. If you say he as well as his brothers dash very intelligent, what will you write? Is very intelligent. He is written before as well as, and that is your subject. Done? Let us move to the next one. If you see the use of or nor in the subject phrase, then you must be sure that the subject, actual subject or actual word on which you will be focusing on is the one that is written after or after nor. So your actual subject is written after or after nor. If I say either you or I, your subject is I, because it is written after or. So the sentence will be either you or I am going to be selected in the school cricket team. Similarly, if I say neither you nor he dash responsible, your subject is he, because he is written after nor. Is responsible, it will be neither you nor he is responsible. Done? So before of, before as well as, before with, before along with, your subject will be written, and after or, that's where your subject will be written. Okay? In case of articles and the use of and, you have to look for the articles. If one article is used, it's a singular subject. 2 articles are used, it's a plural subject. And you have to make sure that and is used to join 2 singular subjects. Then only that rule will apply to that. Next one. If you see the use of each, every, many, etc. in the subject phrase, or if your subject is everyone or everybody or no one, nobody, etc., then your subject is singular. So no one knows him. No one knows him. Here, no one is singular subject. That's why it takes a singular verb after it. Knows him. If I write each of the boys, then you will write has been given a souvenir. Each of the boys, each is there as part of the subject, and each refers to a singular subject. If I say each boy and each girl, I have used and I have said each boy and each girl. Does it refer to two persons? Does it refer to a plural subject? No. I have used each in the subject phrase. That's why the subject will be treated to be a singular subject. Others are there like either of the boys, neither of the girls. They are also singular. Okay. Now let us move to the next one. Acha. If you get to see kind of words like news, information, or furniture, etc., then what do you treat them to be? Do you treat them to be singular or plural subjects? In this case, you have to figure out it this way, that they will always be treated to be singular, but if you wish to turn them into plural, you have to add some other information to them. So this news is really bad. No news is good news, etc. You will be treating them to be singular. But if you wish to turn them into plural, you will have to add some other words before them, like pieces of information, sources of news, pieces of furniture. So in that case, pieces, sources, etc., they will be treated to be your actual subject, and the subject phrase will become a plural subject. So news is singular, but sources of news is plural, right? So news, no news is good news. We have used a singular verb after it, but sources of this news are questionable. Our subject is sources. It's plural here. Done? It's not that difficult, this rule actually. Now, collective nouns. If you see collective nouns, they are treated to be singular. Collective nouns are treated to be singular. But if you talk about individuals in the group, then that becomes plural. This rule sounds very puzzling, but just look at it this way. I'm giving you one example. The jury has announced its opinion or decision. The jury has announced its decision. The jury, it's a collective noun, so it's treated to be a singular subject. And that's why we have written has. And we have used what it is, its. It is actually a possessive adjective. It's a singular possessive adjective. Its has been used here. So the jury has announced its decision. But if jury members cannot come to an agreement, then what we will write? We will have to write, the jury are divided in their opinions. The jury members cannot come to an agreement. That's why they are divided. That's why the jury is being treated to be a plural subject here, because we are talking about individual opinions. So the jury are divided in their opinions. Their opinions. Remember that. So it's actually a rare use, and we do not have to bother about this one because we do not get to see such sentences much. Let us move to the next one. We most probably have covered 7 of the rules. We have 3 more rules left. Achha. If you see a proper noun in the plural form, what we will do? Like the name of a movie, The Avengers, or X-Men, or the name of a book, Three Musketeers, The Arabian Nights. Now these are proper nouns. They are names of books or movies. Though they sound plural, they will be treated to be singular. Three Musketeers is my favorite book. The Avengers is my favorite movie, right? Proper nouns, singular. So though they sound plural, they will still be treated to be singular. And the next one is if. The subject sounds plural but refers to a singular amount, then it will be treated to be a singular subject. If I say 10 liters of milk, then we will write is after it, is needed. A singular verb will be written. 10 liters of milk. 10 liters, it refers to a singular amount. That's why we will use a singular verb after it. If I say 30 minutes dash very less time to complete this task. So what we will write? 30 minutes is very less time to complete this task. 30 minutes. It refers to a singular amount of time, a singular duration, like that. Similarly, 10 kilometers is not a long distance. 10 kilometers, a singular distance is being talked about. And we have come to almost the end of today's lesson. So the last rule that I'm going to talk about is if a sentence starts with there, like you often get to hear those sentences, there are 5 boys, there is a girl, etc. So if a sentence starts with there, the verb complies with the noun or pronoun that follows it, or with the nouns or pronouns that follow it. So there are 5 girls. 5 girls, it's plural. That's why we used a plural verb, there are. But if I say there is a girl, in that case, a girl refers to a singular girl. It's singular. That's why we used a singular verb. It's not that tough, I guess. So let us rewind these 10 rules again. If you see of as part of the subject, what we will do? We will take the word written before of to be our subject. If we see and to be used to join 2 singular subjects and articles are used there, or a single article is used there, we have to look for the articles. If a singular article is used, the subject is singular. If two articles are used, then the subject will be treated to be a plural subject. Now, if you see with as well as along with to be used to add information to a word, then the word written before with as well as or along with will be treated to be your subject. Okay, that's why if we say the king with all his attendants, our subject will be the king and not attendants. Next one, if you see or nor as part of the subject, your subject is the word that is written after or after nor. Okay, if you see each, every, either, neither, everyone, everybody, etc. to be part or to be the subject, then the subjects will be treated to be singular subjects. Okay, now next one, some words are plural in form but singular in concept. They will be treated to be singular subject, like news, information, furniture, etc. If you wish to treat them to be plural, you have to add some extra words before them, like pieces of information, sources of news, etc. Okay, and then collective nouns are treated to be singular, but in some rare cases, when we talk about individuals in the group, then the collective nouns become plural. Next one, if we talk about any any proper nouns, names of books, movies, etc., or countries like United States of America or the Avengers, etc., then we will treat the subject to be a singular subject because it's a proper noun. Though it sounds plural, it will still be considered to be a singular subject. And then if a plural subject refers to a singular amount, then it will be treated to be a singular subject. 10 minutes, 50 liters, 50 kgs, etc. They will be treated to be singular because they are referring to a singular amount or distance or duration. And finally, if a sentence starts with there, the verb complies with the words, the nouns or pronouns that follow them. Okay, that's why there are 5 boys, but there is a girl. 5 boys, it follows the verb, and the verb has to comply with 5 boys. It's plural, so we will write are, plural verb. And if I say there is a girl, it's a singular, that's why we have to use is before it, a singular verb. So these are the rules. Now I am going to give you only 5 sentences, and with blanks in them. You have to guess the answers. After I tell you the sentence, you have to pause the video and you have to guess the answer. Then resume the video and listen to me for the answer and check whether you guessed correct. Okay. Either he or I dash going to be selected in the school cricket team. What should you write in the dash? We will write am. Either he or I am going to be selected in the school cricket team. Next one. If I say she as well as her sisters dash a good dancer, what should you write in the dash? Of course, we will write is. Our subject is she, that is written before as well as. Achha. Next one. The color of these pages dash blue. Of course, it will be is. The color is our subject. It is written before of. The color of these pages is blue. If I say each boy, each girl, and each parent dash been given a souvenir, what will we write? Yes, we will write has been given because each is there as part of the subject. If I say X-Men dash my favorite movie, what we will write? Is. X-Men is my favorite movie, right? I'm going to show some more sentences on the screen. You just guess the answers by pausing the video and then resume the video to check whether the answers are correct. That will be your practice. Thank you. Happy learning.